Prices are gonna get worse. Intel looks to be back to TikTok. Not that one. Phrases have changed. And the fastest three-wheeler ever made. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your host, Brett. We're gonna be going over the hottest tech news that I can find on the internet. And we're gonna be starting off with the fire that is in your wallet with you trying to spend your cash and throw it all out the window because there's a new report coming out that MSI is going to be jacking up their prices, not on just graphics cards, but also other parts like their motherboards. This is partially because demand is so high that they can't satiate all the supply, so why not make a little extra profit in the meantime is essentially how it's gonna go. They are also expecting that shipments are gonna increase between 30 and 50%, but also price of shipping should go down. So they're just gonna make more money in the meantime. Typically what we found in other situations where there's been shortages, like back in 2017 and 2018, it mainly resulted in companies not necessarily making a larger profit because they didn't raise anything at the retailer. Seems to be flipped this other time around. Asus already raised their prices at the beginning of the year. MSI kinda already increased their prices and they're doing it again. Your shortage is their cash pile, my friends. Higher profits for everybody. Yeehaw. What do you think about this? Or do you think that this is something that they should be doing since they're selling out and they need the extra money to invest in R&D and potentially get the logistics figured out of how they can make more, and they need giant cash piles to swim in order to do that? Let me know down in the comments what you think about that. And I'll tell you what I think about this next article, which is a rumor that the Nintendo Switch refresh that's coming out later this year is going to be based on Ada Lovelace, which is the upcoming architecture from NVIDIA that hasn't been announced from NVIDIA and nobody really knows anything about. But apparently the new rumor says that the Switch is going to be that. And what I think about that is I don't believe it. At least until I see it. It's entirely possible, but this is coming as just a response to the tweet that VideoCardz put out about the Nintendo Switch refresh having DLSS, and then a well-known leaker typing Ada as the response. This has led to people expecting that this is now going to be based on a new architecture, which we're expecting NVIDIA to announce at GTC, which is happening on April 12th, but hasn't yet happened. We actually don't know much about NVIDIA's roadmaps beyond what we have right now, so who knows what's going on? But Switch with Ada Lovelace, that's a love-full situation. You know what I mean. And Raja Koduri knows what you mean when you want high performance in the palm of your hand. Him tweeting out a video saying that there's petaflops in your palm. Look at all of this beautiful GPU that they're doing. You can see from an idea to silicon in 2 years. This is a massive GPU die, petaflop level performance, huge chunkers of GPU performance. This is part of a Q&A that the CEO of Intel gave on March 23rd, just kind of discussing their future plans. Obviously the GPU side of things is where Raja Koduri's at, but they also announced that they're planning on entering into the third-party foundry business, which is a pretty big deal since Intel has mostly kept to themselves with their foundry applications. In case you're not familiar with how this works, a lot of these major companies partner with either TSMC or Global Foundries to kind of produce their stuff. Global Foundries kind of pulled out when AMD was deciding to move to 7 nanometers. Intel's always been producing their own thing, whereas companies like Apple have to run to TSMC in order to get stuff done. Well, apparently Intel decides that they want some of that cash and they're going to be investing $20 billion into fabrication facilities in Arizona to open up their capacity, and then they're also going to be selling this to third parties as well. So Intel getting into the third party game, which makes sense. You have to do something with all of that 14 nanometer production facilities that you ramped up in order to meet the demand, because you never got anywhere with your 14 nanometers and we've been stuck on the same thing forever, but you had to keep producing it, so you opened up more and more plants and converted things over, and now that you're going to move off of 14 nanometers finally, you don't know what to do with the extra space. You sell it to people who are still using 14 nanometers. But we also got an announcement from them that they are planning to finally get back to the way things were. Okay, we got a brand new sheriff in town over at Intel, and he's gonna be making things TikTok again, which refers to Intel's process for releasing new chips and getting out better performance. They would have a process refinement and then an architectural refinement. So essentially, they would give you a new thing and then make it slightly better, then give you a new thing and make it slightly better. But as we can see with 14 nanometers, the Rocket Lake that's supposed to come out next week is just slightly better of a slightly better of a slightly better of a slightly better thing of something that launched in 2015. And he says, no more, back to TikTok. You get the thing, you get it better. You get the thing, you get it better. Okay, that's a TikTok dance. And Arctic is making their warranties better. They're tripling them for 6 years if you have a Liquid Freezer 2 series, a 6-year guarantee from the date of purchase, retroactive if you purchased it. Arctic doing the right thing with their products. And Square Enix doing the right thing by killing off Final Fantasy XI. Terrible game. They should never make them MMO because I wasn't able to get it because my PlayStation 2, is that when it came out? I don't remember. I wasn't able to play MMOs at the time, so I'm just a little salty about that. Well, there's supposed to be a reboot that was coming to mobile, and that has been officially canceled. And you know what else has been canceled? GameStop. It's dead in the water. It's gone. Check out this. Down 33% on the day after a pretty weak earnings report, at least for what a lot of people were expecting. They were down modestly, I think something like $0.05 billion in revenue. Not a whole ton, but enough to shake investor confidence. 33% down on the day, 4% in after hours. Oof to GameStop, and a mild oof to Bitcoin, down to $53,000, almost $54,000, down 0.5% in 24 hours, almost below that $1 trillion market cap again. Just a bad day all around, which is surprising because Tesla has finally allowed people to be able to purchase their vehicles with Bitcoin. Elon Musk tweeting out that you are now able to buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. You can pay by Bitcoin, with the Bitcoin option being available outside the US later this year. If you just go to their website, you can see that if you're here to place the order, you submit it with Bitcoin. It obviously has all of the same rules and regulations that go with normal Bitcoin transactions. If you send it to the wrong address, you're never getting that money back. However, Tesla does say in their fact about how this works, if you send the wrong amount, it could lead to a lot of complications. So make sure you're paying attention when you're sending your Bitcoin to Tesla, and also be sure to pay attention with their new smart shift technology, because they decided that you don't need physical knobs and dials to change what gear you want to be in. You want to be in reverse, the car's going to detect that. You want to be in drive, the car's going to detect that too. Except now it apparently can also be done on the touchscreen. We got a new animation showing how you can turn it from drive to reverse while using the smart shift technology. However, this raises concerns for me as somebody who's going to be using this Tesla to drive across the entire United States for a charity live stream. What happens when that GUI seizes up? Because I've had that happen on other Teslas before. It just stops working properly. You have to reboot it. Am I not able to shift at that point? Is that part of a different process that's independent of the actual MCU, the media control unit that's on the Tesla? This is scary, and I actually, for a lot of what trust that I give Tesla, I don't necessarily trust them on this. If the only way that you can put your car into reverse or drive is by interfacing with the touchscreen, that's going to lead to some problems because they haven't quite refined that experience to where you have 99.99999% uptime. It's still kind of buggy. And what bugs me is I don't have an electric motorcycle. I absolutely want one, and Triumph revealing one that I am very happy about. The TE1 is now being revealed more as concept art. Triumph has said that they were going to get into the electric game. Well, this is the second phase of unveiling their partnership with Williams Advanced Engineering. This is a beautiful bike. I absolutely love it. It's supposed to have up to 130 kilowatts of power, 174 horsepower. Not yet known on the date of release or really what the pricing is going to be, but it's a beaut. I want it. Yes, Triumph. You're triumphing in my heart. And Uber is triumphing in delivering stuff because they're partnering with ScriptDrop for prescription delivery in 37 different states where you might be potentially able to get your prescriptions delivered to you. And as somebody who needs this for his disabled child, I'm all for it. Staying on the special needs sides of things, it's kind of sort of related. Researchers at the University of Georgia have created an AI backpack system that can guide vision impaired wearers by basically using a 4K camera as well as Intel's OpenVINO toolkit, and then kind of helping direct people who might not be able to see the best with this backpack as well as a GPS unit. This is a pretty cool piece of technology. It's not necessarily going to get sold at this point, but it's just cool to see how AI and current existing technology can be used to help those who actually potentially need it the most. And most people want an affordable smartphone. That I'm just segueing off of the word most there. And the OnePlus 9R looks to be an affordable version, but it's only going to be available in India on April 16th for $550. It has a lot of great specs and features that make it a very appealing smartphone, but not available outside of India, which makes me mildly sad. And what's going to make me mildly happy is driving the fastest three-wheeled vehicle in all of history, which it's not going to happen because it costs $150,000. But the Daymak Spiritus Ultimate is a two-seater EV that rides like a go-kart, goes 0 to 60 in 1.8 seconds, and only has 3 wheels.
No, not again.
If you ever wanted to die in the most fun way on the road possible, this is up there with an electric motorcycle. But you know what's just as fun as going 0 to 60 in 1.8 seconds? Watching another episode of Hot News. In case you missed yesterday's episode, you can check it out right up there, or you can click on this playlist right down here, which will give you all the episodes that you may have potentially missed this week. I will see you tomorrow again at 9 a.m. Eastern for another round of Hot News.